guys, it's Sim, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited, as we are here on a Wednesday, and that means tonight we're talking AEW Dynamite. I got this side. It always throws me off which way to point. Luke with me over here again. You guys saw Luke on Monday for the Raw review. Again, like I stated, hopefully we can make this a regular thing with Luke coming on here at least once, if not multiple times a week, as long as his schedule permits. But again, Dynamite tonight. So Luke, what did you think of Dynamite?
I thought it was an all right show. I mean, there was some things I didn't really like about it, but other than that, I mean, there were some decent matches and enjoyed it a little bit.
So I like the way you used the word, you said an all right show, because I was kind of feeling the same thing for the most part, but like as far as like stories and progression for things, I thought it was all right, but there was some, I thought, a number of good matches that for me would elevate the show just a little above all right to good. But overall, I thought it lacked, and they've been lacking a little bit over the last couple of weeks, and maybe it's because of the CM Punk, Young Buck stuff and all that, and they're just trying to throw a lot of stuff together. But I think they've been lacking in the storyline department. And tonight was another kind of, I really felt like tonight was just, we just got to get to next week. Next week's the big show. We got to set everything up for next week, and that's the show that counts. That's the show that really matters. And that's how the show felt to me, that this was almost, I wouldn't say nothing show, but one of those, hey, if you miss tonight, you're all good. Just don't miss next week.
Yeah, and I do feel like right now they're just trying to make the best of what they got right now.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But again, not a horrible show. A lot of good matches on the show. And we'll see how next week goes. Next week's the big Grand Slam show from Arthur Ashe Stadium. You know, after last year and the importance that they put on the show last year, this is supposed to be now one of their biggest shows of the year. But with that, I do want to say thank you if you are watching us live, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited. I also want to say thank you if you're watching or listening later, whether that's youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited or on podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Now, remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can help us out by either hitting that donate button down below or donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, either a 1, 2, or 3 tier, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime. Because remember, if you not just have Amazon Prime, but have access to anybody's Amazon Prime account, whether that's your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your grandma, your grandpa, your auntie, your uncle, anybody, your dog walker, your kid's babysitter, your mom's sister-in-law, I don't know, anybody's Amazon account, you take that Amazon account, take that Twitch account, you link them together, bada bing, bada boom, you're Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month, and I greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. But even if you're not going to do that, still do it this month specifically, because you're getting some really good free games. You're getting Shadow of Mordor. You're getting Assassin's Creed Odyssey for free. You're getting Football Manager 22 for free, even if you forget to use the Twitch Prime subscription. Just link the two things to get free video games and some really good free video games. But on the flip side, if you're watching on YouTube, you can help us out over there by hitting that donate button down below. No, the join button to become a channel member. To get early access to news, early access to podcast episodes, early access to non-news videos, and so much more. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming one of the free games, or you're getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or even Fall Guys, you're going to want to use creator code PW Unlimited. Use code PW Unlimited for all Epic Store and Epic Games purchases, and you'll be directly supporting us without having to spend any extra money, and sometimes without having to spend any money at all when you're claiming one of their 2, sometimes 3, but mostly 2 free games. But with that, we've got Dynamite to talk about. Big big show as far as like not a big show as far as like being super compelling, like I said, but a big show as far as setting things up for next week, even though most of this was already set up for next week. But the show did kick off with Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, Taz on commentary, William Regal, and correct me if I'm wrong, no JR again on Dynamite? Or did I just not pay enough attention?
I didn't even notice JR
Yeah, so
Dynamite, actually.
so I think another week, 2 weeks in a row now, no Jim Ross at all. Because they've been doing the whole, he'll only do the second half of the show, or we'll just bring him for the main event. But no JR at all again this week. And they didn't say why last week. I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch Rampage, so I didn't see if he worked that show. And okay, I'll see if we can figure anything out. But I think they're just experiments on when to use certain people and do certain things. I would assume, without really knowing, he'd be on next week's show because of how big of a show it is. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. As far as this match that opened up the shows, the AEW Tournament of Champions match, Jon Moxley versus Sammy Guevara. The winner moves on to the finals next week. Moxley had the early advantage as he grounded Guevara, but Guevara did eventually counter him and get some strikes in the corner. Guevara jaw-jacked for a little while with the crowd and was turned inside out with a Moxley lariat. During a chop battle, Moxley faked taking a nap, and Guevara sent him outside with 2 dives. Guevara then drove Moxley headfirst into the steel steps, but Moxley quickly recovered and sent Guevara into the railing. Moxley couldn't stay in control long as Guevara posted him and then put him back into the ring and got a 2 off of it. Guevara escaped a rear naked choke quickly to remain in control. At one point, Guevara countered a submission into a Boston Crab momentarily and then hit a double jump cutter for a very close near fall. GTH was countered into a bulldog choke. This is actually a really good looking counter by Moxley. He then transitioned it into anvil elbows. Guevara then countered a King Kong lariat into a Spanish fly, another cool looking spot in this match. Moxley then cut off Guevara in the corner with an avalanche German suplex for a double down as Anna Jay and Ty Conti jumped in the ring, and I go, oh boy, it ain't a AEW big important match without some sort of interference. I mean, always interference in these big matches for the most part. Shocked there wasn't really any in the main event. But Anna Jay distracted the referee as Ty Conti jumped in and low-blowed Moxley from behind. Guevara then just rolled him up and only got a 2 off of it. Guevara then went to the top rope and tried to go for, I think it was a swanton or something. And he missed the move. Jon Moxley rolled out of the way. And on commentary, Regal's like, I want to call them something, those 2 women at ringside, but I don't know if I'll get in trouble, but I'll just say it, they're harlots. I'm like, okay, what is this, the 1930s? So there's a strike battle that led to Moxley floating out of a GTH into a Death Rider to pick up the victory. I thought outside of the interference, great match. Jon Moxley and Sammy Guevara killed it to open up tonight's AEW Dynamite. Yeah,
I thought
go for it.
I thought it was a pretty good match. I mean, pretty expected that Moxley was going to win. I mean, they weren't going to have him lose to Sammy, so.
Correct. I agree. The whole Moxley, everyone expected Moxley. But then I liked how, this match, very predictable on who was going to win. But the main event, I felt could have gone either way. And I mean, I'll just say it now. It was Danielson, and I honestly expected Jericho.
The main event was pretty hard for me to predict. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wanted Danielson to win. I think Danielson and Moxley would be a perfect match. But I wouldn't be shocked if Jericho won.
Yeah. So Moxley wins the match, and he's at ringside, like, I guess you could say celebrating or flexing. He's doing something, and you hear Excalibur go, there's a commotion in the back, and MJF is causing a scene asking for a microphone, and then my TNT app went down on me. And I'm like, oh, crap. What am I missing? I was able to rewind it, though, because that's the good thing about the TNT app. You can rewind it. And MJF stormed to the ring and said that he's not the kid who faced Moxley in 2020. He's not playing a character. Moxley is, though, and he's nothing more than a joke. MJF said that Moxley built a good character, and the fans buy it. Yet, he doesn't. He knows Moxley is the same scared little boy and will drown his troubles in alcohol like a drunk. He also warned Chris Jericho and Bryan Danielson, saying that bad things happen to people that get in MJF's way. So, to stay away from Grand Slam. MJF said that when Moxley came back from rehab, he had mentioned beating his demons. And he warns Moxley that if he doesn't tread lightly, he will be another one of Moxley's demons, but this time one he can't slay. MJF then brought out his best friend since the age of 19, Stokely Hathaway. And they basically tell us that Stokely's got a new group called The Firm. Hathaway said that he told MJF he couldn't quit AEW. He'd be giving the fans exactly what they wanted. Hathaway said all of his henchmen are on a retainer, and whenever MJF doesn't need them, they'll go their separate ways. Hathaway said that everything he's done since being in AEW has been strategic. From hanging out with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter to watching Living Single with the House of Black, which is kind of a weird one, but okay. Hathaway hugged Morrissey, said Lee Moriarty's going to bring honor back to the Pure title. The Guns are no longer boys, they're men, which I thought there was a very missed opportunity there by the crowd. Instead of chanting ass boys, they could have chanted ass men. And then he said that Ethan Page wants the All-Atlantic Championship. And I'm like, the All-Atlantic title? I think Page wants to go for the TNT belt? That was a weird one. He said that the Firm, they are the Firm, and either run with them or run for them. And I'm like, do we need this? Do we really need this group that they already said that they're just a bunch of randoms put together that are not going to actually be together all the time? Like, I'm just more confused by what this group is than anything.
First, when this group came out, I just thought it was just another Pinnacle group.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't know. I'm confused why MJF didn't stay out there with them, because right when they came out, he just left.
Well, I'm under the impression of they're Stokely Hathaway's guys, and MJF didn't need them right now, because he said, these are my henchmen. They're on a retainer, and whenever MJF doesn't need them, they'll go their separate ways and do their own things. So basically, he was out there. MJF was like, you help me. I don't need you guys anymore right now. And then Stokely is just going to be like, okay, well, this guy wants this. This guy wants this. This guy wants this. They'll go do their own thing for a little bit. So basically, because MJF didn't need to be out there, because if you really think about it with MJF, if you really think about him and his character, why would he be out there, as we're supposed to believe that these guys are beneath him? They will help him because he will pay them, but in the long run, he would feel that, these are paid, hired guys that are beneath me but can do some dirty work for me. That's how I see it. And maybe I'm just trying to add too much story to something that doesn't have a lot of story.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
So next up, we had Jay Lethal against Jungle Boy, or Jungle Boy Jack Perry. If you didn't see the videos on social media today, and hold on. I need to pull up a tweet from Tony Khan really fast, because Tony Khan out here just really thinking he's going to take more shots at WWE. Tony Khan sent out a tweet that said, hold on, let me find it. This was before Dynamite actually happened. So he sent out a tweet that said, thanks to your support, we have a big, all in caps, Wednesday night Dynamite tonight on TBS Live at 8. He then said, we have eventful promos / segments coming to at AEW social media accounts tonight before Dynamite. Rest assured, we'll recap them in video packages on AEW TV tonight. Well, bud, you didn't. And unless I missed something, this match between Jungle Boy and Jay Lethal was set up on social media, and the two videos that set them up, again, unless I missed something because my TNT app was going wonky for a little while, I didn't see these videos recapped at all on your show. And that was a complete shot at WWE for setting stuff up on social media and then not actually telling you what the social media stuff was on television. That was a complete shot at WWE. But what this was, Alex Marvez interviews Jungle Boy, and he's like, oh, I got Jungle Boy Jack Perry here with me. Jack Perry, Jungle Boy. What are your thoughts on everything going down with you and Christian and Luchasaurus? And now what are you going to do tonight? And Jungle Boy was like, well, I signed an open contract, so anybody can challenge me. I just want to wrestle. So then there's another video about an hour later posted online with Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, and Jay Lethal, where Sanjay Dutt basically was like, Jungle Boy, you're dumb for doing the open challenge. Anybody can face you? Well, my best friend Jay Lethal's not only going to face you, he's going to beat you. But for Tony Khan to be like, rest assured, we'll recap them in video packages on the show, and then not. Again, unless I missed it, I didn't see these aired on the show tonight. Did you?
I don't think I saw it on the show.
I saw them on social media because, well, it's my job to follow their social media, especially a lot on show days and make sure they don't announce anything. But it's just a weird one because a lot of people took that, and I did too, as a shot at WWE where they're like, yeah, you announce stuff online and then never really give the story of it on TV. Well, you did the same thing. Regardless, the match itself was pretty good. There was a strike exchange early, and Jungle Boy controlled the action with Lethal's offense attempts being countered at every move. Lethal tried a figure four at one point, but was sent outside of the ring. Jungle Boy wanted to dive, but Satnam Singh stood in the way. And I loved the way that Jungle Boy was running for the dive, and he slid on his knees to stop before, running into Satnam Singh. I thought that looked really cool. Dutt then ran distraction a little bit as well, which led to Lethal hitting a backbreaker on the top turnbuckle. Lethal remained in control as commentary put over how much Jungle Boy could still be feeling the effects of All Out. Jungle Boy exploded out of the corner at one point and turned Lethal inside out with a lariat, which led to a forearm battle. Jungle Boy then sold his back a little while, trying to go for a suplex, but then Jungle Boy avoided Lethal's lethal injection and hit another lariat and a brainbuster. Two fought in the corner with Lethal recovering and hitting a Russian leg sweep off the second rope. Jungle Boy countered the lethal injection, but Lethal countered the kill switch into the lethal injection. Let's see. Ethan says the videos were on TV, but must not have been on your app. Yeah, I use the TNT app because I'm West Coast, and that's the only way I can watch them live. So maybe I just didn't see them on the app then. Maybe because the app did keep freezing and going out on me, so maybe that's why I missed it. I don't know. There's a tope suicida from Lethal that led to a top rope elbow drop that got him a near fall. Jungle Boy blocked a pump kick and got the snare trap. Dutt was knocked from the apron as Lethal tried the figure four again, but Jungle Boy countered it into the snare trap for a submission victory. So Jungle Boy picks up the win. Cool. Jay Lethal gets another loss. They were like, oh, Jay Lethal's won his last 7 matches. And I'm like, he has? I don't remember the last one he won, to be completely honest.
I can't remember the last match Jay Lethal won.
I'm going to look it up right now. Jay Lethal cage match. Because they said something in commentary like, Jay Lethal has won 7 of his last matches. Let's see.
Unless they're just saying that just to hype him up.
Right. So he beat Dax Harwood last week. I think that was last. Yeah, he beat Dax Harwood 2 weeks ago. No. 3 weeks ago now. 1, 2. Yeah, he beat Dax Harwood on Dynamite 3 weeks ago, which I don't remember that match, to be honest. I mean, I remember now. I think he used the tights roll up to get the win. So I remember that one. Let's see. He lost to Wardlow out of the belts. He did defeat Orange Cassidy beginning of August. And yeah. Those are the only 2 wins he's got over the last month and a half in AEW. They're like, he won 7 of his last matches. I'm like, okay, no, he didn't, but whatever. So we got a training video, Hook and Action Bronson. Next week, the two will be teaming up on Rampage. Not this week's Rampage, but next week's Rampage in New York. We'll be taking on Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker. Alex Marvez was backstage and said that he couldn't wait to get to Grand Slam next week. He talks about pizza and then introduces Luigi Primo, who most people... Do you know who Luigi Primo is, Luke?
Not really, no. But I did see on their Instagram that they were showing a clip of one of his indie matches.
Yeah. So apparently that match got him recognized with the whole, I can kind of walk around the ring and push my opponent while I'm flipping the pizza thing. It's whatever. It's not my kind of a thing. I'm not really into those kinds of gimmicks. It's like, I like Orange Cassidy when he's in the ring wrestling, but when he's doing the gimmick stuff, I don't like it. So maybe this guy can be the same way. When he's actually wrestling, he's good, but the gimmick stuff's going to turn people off. I don't think they're signing him. I just thought it was a funny thing to bring in, and Ethan Page kicks him in the face.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have that guy work at least like 1 or 2 matches.
Yeah, they'll use him for like Dark or something probably. But Ethan Page kicks him in the face and basically says that too many people around here don't take their job seriously. And then in comes Danhausen. He goes, perfect example. Page then calls him a jester and says that he'll face him this Friday on Rampage. Danhausen accepted, though. And my notes got cut off here. What did I write? Oh, never mind. Danhausen accepted, and the match is set for Friday. I mean, that'll be an all right match. It'll give Ethan Page a win, probably. They got
Ethan Page has to win.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He really needs it because, like, I've always been, like, for years now, a big fan of Ethan Page. But it just feels like he's a setup guy where he's got a big enough name to where when somebody they want to push needs a couple wins, boom, Ethan Page is the one that they can beat. They feel like, oh, if this guy beats Ethan Page, then he's on track to get a title shot, or he's on track, you know what I mean? I just feel like that's what they've been using Ethan Page for the last year to get other people significant wins.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I've always been like a big Ethan Page supporter. Like, I've always been a fan of him. I just think right now he just needs a couple of wins.
Yeah. And they got a Darby Allin video. He was doing some stuff with Nitro Circus. He wanted to do a backflip on a little 3-wheeler. Or actually what they call a big wheel. He missed the first time. He spun it out and hit the barricade, or the whatever they called it. It's basically like a barricade. And then he finally hit it on his next attempt. And this then led to Matt Hardy putting him over, saying, you've had some great matches and you did some cool things in a ladder match with my brother, but I want to fight you this week on Rampage because I know what Extreme really is. And I'm like, okay, cool. Setting up more matches that really mean nothing and people don't care about. Like, I think it'll be an all right match, Matt Hardy versus Darby Allin, but it's like, it's just a match that's not going to, in my opinion, really make people go, oh, I have to watch Rampage now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think Matt Hardy's going to win that match.
I mean, honestly, I could see it going either way and not mattering. No matter who wins, I honestly don't think it would matter either way.
I agree.
Next up at Powerhouse Hobbs, he took on, if I wrote the name down right, Matt Demetrio. Demetrio, I think I wrote that name down right. I may have wrote it wrong. I don't know. But Hobbs basically just hits him with the corner splash spine buster and pins him. After the match, Hobbs took the mic and said that it only took him 4 minutes to defeat Ricky Starks at All Out. And it's time for a new chapter in the book of Hobbs. All of a sudden, Ricky Starks come walking down through the crowd. The crowd starts to stir a little bit. And then he hits the ring. He hits Hobbs with a bunch of punches before hitting him right in the top of the head with a microphone. Hobbs jumps out of the ring and has a busted lip. There we go.
I do want to point something out here. Commentary said he had a busted lip. He already had that busted lip even before Ricky came out. Like, when he's on the mic, you can tell. Yeah.
Oh.
His mouth was bleeding before Starks even came out.
Huh. I didn't even notice that. I saw it afterwards when they like focused on it and he kept grabbing at it. I didn't notice it before. That's interesting. I wonder how he got. So the only thing I could think of maybe is when you went for the spine buster, the opponent hit him in the face or something. That's literally the only thing I could think of. Coming off the spine buster or something.
Because I was thinking, like, how did he like bust his lip like during just one spine buster?
Exactly. We had a death triangle video in the back. They were like, oh, this was a social media video that did air on television. So I will say that. They're like, oh, we learned earlier today that a tag team title match has been made for tonight. And trust me, I got a lot to say about this one. So Death Triangle's in the back boasting that they're champions and this and that. And Alex Abrahantes walks up and goes, we got the match. It's official. We got the match. You guys will be challenging Swerve in Our Glory for the tag titles. So it's Swerve in Our Glory defending against Rey Fenix and Penta. And I'm just like, what? Really? No. No. Why do we need champions challenging the other champions? Plus, We've already got a title match set up next week for the tag titles. So having, how do I say this? Having too many title matches almost diminishes the titles and makes the titles not feel as important. It's important when it's like, all right, you've got these guys that earned this shot against the champions and this and that. So now they're going to face them at this time. But then when you just got randomly, oh, hey, by the way, Lucha Bros are going to challenge for the tag titles before the tag title match you already announced. It's just doing a title match to do a title match. And it just, to me, makes the titles feel less important when anybody and everybody can just A, get a title shot whenever, B, just ask for it, and C, I guess that goes in with B, but not even have to earn it. You just say, can I get a title shot? Okay, there you go. And you just hand it. So that's the one thing I don't like in AEW. It's too many title shots, too many titles to start with, and too many title matches that don't mean anything. And I had people on social media like, well, what would you want? They're a great tag team. They should get a title shot. And I'm like, okay. But they're ready to earn it. I mean, go for it.
Well, another thing is, like, how did they earn it? And they're already, like, the trio champs as well.
Exactly. They didn't earn it. Abrahantens basically said, I mean, he's just like, I got the match made. So you just asked for it. Again, it diminishes the importance of the titles when anybody can just ask for a shot. When anybody can just, since Saturday says in the Twitch chat, are the Lucha Bros ranked? I don't know, but it doesn't even matter because you already have a title match set for next week. I hate when AEW does this, when they go, oh, the title's on the line in 2 weeks, but tonight we're going to have the titles on the line anyways. So it's like, okay, so there might be new champions that are going to defend? No. Because it also, if they're already building up big, Swerve in Our Glory against the Acclaimed, they're not going to change that to Lucha Bros. So we already know that the Lucha Bros aren't going to win. Again, another way to diminish the importance of the belts. Doing title matches with challengers that you know are not going to win. But let me see if I can find the rankings really fast, because since Saturday says, are they ranked? Let me see if I can find the rankings here. AEW. Did they even post their rankings today? I don't see them. Huh. Unless I skipped over it. I don't even see their rankings on Twitter. Hold on. They didn't post their rankings on Twitter today. That's an interesting one. They usually do Wednesday mornings. But they didn't even post their rankings on Twitter today. Huh. So yeah, to answer since Saturday's question, I don't know if they're ranked. But like I said, it's just too many title matches with too many championships and too many non-important title matches where it's just like, and I know I'm beating a dead horse saying the same thing over and over again, but it's just like, you're going to do Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed next week. You did that match at the pay-per-view. Then you used the scrum after the pay-per-view to set that match up. You had Swerve come out and cut them off from doing their rap last week. It's like, that match is going to happen. So why do this match when we know that the Lucha Bros are not going to win? Regardless, a really good match, though.
I agree. It was a really good match. I didn't really understand why Lucha Bros even got the belts to begin with. I mean, they're already the trio champs, so it's basically like burying the trio titles as well.
I mean, one person explained it to me, kind of tried to, and I kind of agreed with it. They're like, well, they don't really have, they made the trios belts and all of a sudden they lost a bunch of trios. So they're just trying to fill time. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of get that. You're not wrong there. But it's like saying, okay, well, Pac's the All-Atlantic champion, but he's going to go challenge for the world title. It's the same thing. It's like, why? Why? But anyways, like I said, this was a pretty good match. It was a lightning fast start from Strickland and Pentagon, with Penta putting his hands out putting his hands out in front of Strickland during a handstand attempt. There was assisted splash by the Lucha Bros that got a 2 by Phoenix, who soon found himself in the corner of Swerve in Our Glory. Strickland connected with a Hurricane Run off the second rope. Phoenix foolishly tried to start a little chop exchange with Keith Lee and looked like he was just a mannequin. He's over there hitting Keith Lee, and Keith Lee's just like standing like, oh, you think this hurts me? It doesn't. Lucha Bros regained control, though, with a dive to the outside, but then Lee eventually steamrolled Phoenix in his corner as Strickland tagged in and immediately mocked Penta. Phoenix spun out of a gory special into a comeback spin kick to make the hot tag to Penta. Phoenix was caught by Lee on a dive and lawn darted onto his own opponent as Penta had just hit the maiden Penta on Strickland. Penta tried the Fear Factor, but Strickland slapped Penta and tagged in Keith Lee. Phoenix tried a crossbody again, and Lee was caught and ragdolled all around the ring. Well, Lee caught him and ragdolled him all around the ring. Ain't nobody ragdolling Keith Lee. Strickland and Lee then tried their corner powerbomb double spot combo, but Penta put a stop to it, which allowed Phoenix to hit a Spanish fly off the top rope. Penta hit an amazing destroyer on Lee for a close near fall. Strickland shoved Phoenix off the top to the floor, and Lee hit a ground zero to pick up the victory. I thought it was a good match, but it didn't need to be a title match. And that took me out of it, going, title match. Why? So afterwards, the Acclaimed interrupted, and Max Caster told Strickland to stop nut-hugging every famous person he knows. Caster told him to roll Keith Lee to Grand Slam, and Anthony Bowen said that they're going to beat their little Drake and Josh looking asses next week to win the tag titles. Alex Marvez.
Actually, do you have a question?
Go for it.
Actually, do you have a question real quick?
Yeah.
Do you think both Swerve and Lee are both heels, or is it just Swerve as the heel? Because I haven't seen Lee do anything as a heel.
So that's a good question. And then we got to go back to the media scrum for that one. So they're doing the media scrum, and somebody asked Tony Khan, the Acclaim got really over tonight. Did you ever think of calling an audible and putting the belts on them? And he's like, no. But I do think that maybe we should do another match. Maybe we should do it at Arthur Ashe Grand Slam. And Keith Lee is looking at Tony Khan, and he's like, okay. He's like nodding in agreement. And Swerve goes, why? We just beat them. Why do we have to defend our titles against them again? So I don't know if it's that either of them are heels. I think it's more of, and I think they're supposed to be quote unquote the heels for the match. But I think it is more of Swerve is a little annoyed that they just beat them with the titles on the line, and they just given a shot. They're just given another title shot without having to re-earn it or earn it at all. So I think that's what we're supposed to be thinking here, is that Swerve is annoyed that they're getting the title shot after losing just like 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, this is just another example of just asking for title shots, or
I mean, true.
I don't know. I don't really know. I feel like Tony Khan he liked how the Acclaim got over, so he just gave him another match.
I mean, honestly, I would not be shocked if Acclaim wins because they're both New York boys. Give them the belts. So it's basically all right, all out's the test to see if they can get over. And then if they do, they'll get the belts in New York because they'll get the bigger pop. They'll get the bigger celebration in front of their home crowds. Like I would be, honestly, I would be more shocked if the Acclaim doesn't win the belts next week, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they're going to win because I know AEW likes to do that, like the whole hometown title wins and whatnot. They did the same thing with Thunder Rosa.
Yep. He lost a couple times to Britt and then won in her hometown. Yep. So in the back, Alex Marvez tried to interview Death Triangle, but Penta and Phoenix just walked away. Pac reminded Marvez who they are as he's the current All-Atlantic champion. Out of nowhere, an orange punch clocked Pac as Orange Cassidy picked up the mic and said that Pac wouldn't be a double champion for much longer. So in the back, Tony Storm and Athena cut some promos on Britt Baker and Serena Deeb. As Athena said, she'd be brushing, flossing, and eating an apple a day to keep the doctor away. They said that tonight they're going to win for Hikaru Shida. So if you didn't see what happened with this is actually playing off of something from last night's AEW Dark, where it was originally announced it was going to be Tony Storm and Hikaru Shida against the team of Britt Baker and Serena Deeb. Well, there was a commotion in Shida's locker room, which, why does Shida get her own locker room? That's another story and a half. But there was commotion in Shida's locker room, and Alex Marvez is like, there's noise coming from the locker room. What's going on? What's going on? And Rebel comes out, and she's like, don't worry, nothing's happening, this and that, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then Britt Baker comes out with the kendo stick. She's like, I just took care of Shida. Shida ain't going to be wrestling tomorrow night. Hey, Tony Storm, if I'm not allowed to pick my opponent, then you got to have an opponent that you don't really want to work with. So go find somebody else. So basically, Britt Baker took out Hikaru Shida before tonight's match. And then it ended up being Toni Storm and Athena against a team of Britt Baker and Serena Deeb. I thought the match was better than most women's matches, and this is a knock on the women's division AEW, but I thought this was better than most of the women's matches we've seen as of late. I think it was one of, and I've always been a little critical on Serena Deeb, saying that she goes a little too much into the technical stuff, and then because of it, it makes her matches kind of feel slow and kind of not engaging and stuff. But in my opinion, I felt like this was one of the better matches we've seen and the better showings of Serena Deeb over the last couple of months in AEW. In my opinion, I thought she looked really good tonight.
I kind of agree. She did look pretty good tonight.
So as far as the matches go, Excalibur informs us that Jamie Hayter hasn't spoken to Britt Baker since All Out. Deeb and Storm starts off the match. And remember that, though. Jamie Hayter hasn't spoken to Britt in 10 days. So Deeb and Storm start the match off with some holds and whatnot. They do some technical wrestling, and then there are some corner chops early on. Athena made the tag and hit a cool spinning face buster before Baker tripped her and Deeb attacked her leg on the apron. Deeb and Baker took turns keeping Athena isolated on their side of the ring as Athena collapsed off of an Irish whip by Baker. Deeb applied a modified figure 4 briefly until Athena got free and hit an enziguri. Storm made the hot tag, but Britt avoided the sweet chin music in the corner. On the outside, Storm used Deeb as a launching pad and hit a tornado DDT on Baker. Baker recovered just enough, though, to hit a sling blade as Athena and Deeb made the tags, with Deeb countering a springboard into a cross arm breaker. Athena then powered Deeb up and hit a Meteora until Storm tagged herself in. Deeb then rolled through a crossbody into a single leg crab and refused to let it go. Basically, just getting kicked by Athena, and this made no sense. The ref's sitting there just watching, and Athena just walks in and kicks Serena Deeb. And I go, okay, one kick to try to break the hold, that's fine. But then she just keeps punching Serena Deeb, and she keeps going, and the ref's not trying to stop her, going, you're not the legal person, get out of the ring, get out of the ring. And then what happens? Britt Baker just jumps in, super kick to Athena. She kicks Toni Storm in the head. Ref doesn't do anything, doesn't try to stop. Come on, ref, get control of the goddamn match. And I say this almost every week, AEW loves to make their referees look stupid and incompetent. The match breaks down, like I stated. They're fighting on the outside, Baker and Athena, before Baker throws Athena into the steps, while Storm counters a deep tops attempt. With Rebel jumping up on the apron, the ref's distracted. At least they did some sort of a distraction this time. The other time, the ref was just watching it. Deeb then sent Storm into Baker on the apron, who was holding a steel chair, which this took way too much time to set up. Freaking Baker is climbed up on the apron, and she's like trying to shove the steel chair in there between the ropes. Finally, Serena throws Toni Storm headfirst into the chair. They throw the chair down or whatever, and then Baker's just on the wrong side of the ring. The ref looks over at her, looks down because Deeb's going for the pin. 1, 2, 3. There you go. And what? The champ's already pinned? She won the title 10 days ago, and she's already being pinned? And not for Serena Deeb to get a title shot. Not for Britt Baker to get a title shot, but all three other women what the hell did Athena do to earn this title shot next week? Next week, if you guys didn't hear, it is Toni Storm defending the title against Athena, Serena, and Britt. Now, I can see Serena getting a title shot because she pinned the champ. I can see Baker saying she should get a title shot because her team beat the champ. But what the hell did Athena do to earn the title shot? Oh, nothing. Heck, if we're supposed to think this shit's all real, then Athena wasn't even supposed to be in this match to begin with. Like, come on. Come on. This stupid, nonsensical booking.
Athena just lost to Jade, so, like, how do you really expect her to get a title shot?
Yes.
AEW Women's Championship. She just lost for Jade for the TBS title.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it like that, but you're completely right. She got, if we're supposed to think of this as real, she got shoehorned into this match because there was not another woman to fit in here. And then all of a sudden, we'll also give you title. Again, title matches not meaning much. When you're just throwing random people in matches and people that haven't, quote unquote, earned it or been built up to it, it's just like, really? Like, Serena Deeb really hasn't been built up to it, but at least she's the one that got the pin on the champion. It's whatever. So after the match, Baker and Deeb get knocked down by Athena. Storm then tries to fight him off, but Britt grabs the chair. Britt goes to hit Storm with the chair when out comes Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter looks like she's going to stop Britt Baker, but instead she takes the chair and hits Toni Storm with it and then just leaves. Doesn't say anything to Britt. Just leaves, and Britt's like, where are you going? I tried to say I'm sorry. And that's it before we get rundowns for the next week and a half of shows. As far as this week on Rampage, Samoa Joe will be defending the ROH Television Championship against Josh Woods. We do know that Ethan Page will be going one-on-one with Danhausen. Penelope Ford will be in action when she takes on Willow Nightingale. And finally, Matt Hardy will be taking on Darby Allin. Of course, next week's Dynamite does go Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe Stadium. Jon Moxley will be taking on the winner of Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson for the vacant AEW World title, which we now know is Bryan Danielson. Swerve in Our Glory will be defending the World Tag Team Championships against the Acclaimed. Toni Storm will defend the interim AEW Women's World Championship against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Athena and Serena Deeb and the All-Atlantic Championship will be on the line when Pac defends against Orange Cassidy. As far as Grand Slam does go next week from Arthur Ashe Stadium, Hook and Action Bronson will be taking on the team of Angelo Parker and Matt Menard. A bunch of stuff announced for the next 3 shows, the next week and a half of AEW action. Then we move on to our main event. And I felt like this match, I wouldn't say it was any better than the match they had it All Out, but I think it was equally as good as the match they had it All Out, Danielson and Jericho. I think it was I wouldn't say a similar match, but as far as like my enjoyment of the match was exactly what it was at the pay-per-view. They didn't do anything like extra in this match to try to, top the match at the pay-per-view, but I think this match was still really, really, really good. As far as the match itself does go, they really played up the fact of throughout his entire career, Jericho has never lost to Bryan Danielson. Danielson has never beat Jericho. And these two go back a long ways. I mean, Bryan Danielson's first ever televised match for WWE was a match against Chris Jericho when they were doing the NXT game show thing.
That was when, Danielson was, the rookie.
Right.
And Jericho was, one of pros or, coaches or whatever you called them.
Right. So it was Danielson was a quote-unquote rookie. The Miz was his pro, his, mentor on the show. Jericho was there. At the time, Jericho was the big gold belt world heavyweight champion. I don't remember who Jericho's rookie was, though.
Wade Barrett.
Yes. I think you're right. Wade Barrett. And they did the whole, every week someone was eliminated. Danielson was the first one eliminated, which made sense because he was already beloved by fans. They didn't need to build him up or anything. But he ended up wanting to fight the champion, saying that he's, better than everybody here. And he took on Jericho, but lost to Jericho in that match. And I think the two have had a couple other matches since, but not really that many. But early on in this match, Danielson controlled the majority of it, mainly working over the shoulder of Jericho to soften it up for a submission. Jericho ate some kicks, but ducked the final kick and hit a release German suplex. There was a springboard drop kick followed by a springboard crossbody, but that put Jericho in control. There was a slap battle that turned into a chop exchange with both men's chest beat red. Both men tried charging crossbodies, and they collided for a double down spot. Jericho then slammed Danielson's head repeatedly into the mat, but Danielson started to do push-ups to show that this didn't affect him at all. Jericho then dropped Danielson with a lion salt for a 2, but Danielson moved out of the corner and Jericho ran shoulder first into the post. Jericho then crotched Danielson in the corner and hit an impressive looking Hurricane Rana to follow up. At one point, Jericho missed the Judas effect also. Did you see Andrade on Twitter? I think it was either today or yesterday. Someone posted a video of when he used to do the spinning back elbow on NXT, and he responded with, "Oh yeah, I'm not allowed to use that move anymore." And this is why, because it's Jericho's move, the Judas effect. So Andrade not allowed to use his old spinning back elbow. I never thought about it. I'm like, now that I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, he used to use that all the time in NXT. And now he doesn't.
How would they not let him use it in AEW? I mean,
because it's Jericho's big move. It's one of Jericho's big moves. So it's basically like, how do I say it? So basically, like when somebody has a move that's considered their finisher or their big signature move, and somebody else uses it as just like a move, it then makes that move not seem as effective. Because it's like, how do I explain it? I got it. So it's like when Carl Anderson came to WWE. He used to have a move, well, he does now again, but he did what's called the gun stun. It was basically his version of an RKO. But when he came to WWE, he couldn't use that move because that is Randy Orton's move. And if he's just going to willy-nilly do an RKO style move in a match, but not as a finisher, just a move to try and get a pin on and it gets kicked out of, then fans may see Randy Orton do an RKO and think, oh, well, that's not that big of a move because Carl Anderson does it and people kick out of it all the time. So it's like you got to not have certain wrestlers do certain moves that other guys use as their big move, because then fans may not see it as such of a big move. If, say, like Andrade's doing this back elbow all the time and people always kick out of it, they'll think, oh, well, that's not that big of a move. So if Jericho does it, ain't going to knock anybody out enough. There we go. Dan the Man says, the rock bottom in the bookend. Yes. When Booker T first came to WWE, he did the bookend a couple times. Then they actually told him to not use it as much because that's The Rock's move. That's another good example. Thank you, Dan the Man. So as we move forward, like I said, Jericho missed a Judas effect as Danielson hit a snap German suplex into a cattle mutilation. Danielson poured down some anvil elbows, but Jericho landed a temple shot, which led to an anvil elbow of his own, which Danielson no-sold. There's some more chops from both men until Jericho hit a code breaker, but Danielson responded with a Busaku knee. There's more and more chops on the apron, which led to Jericho suplexing Danielson to the floor, and Danielson clutched his left ankle. Aubrey Edwards, the referee, called for the doctor to come look at Danielson, and Jericho tossed them aside and then threw Danielson into the post ankle first. He then locked on a figure four, briefly, which then Jericho chop blocked the leg as Danielson fought off of a knee bar. He tried another Busaku knee, but fell right into the walls of Jericho. Jericho transitioned this into a heel hook and then a spinning toe hold, which Danielson kicked out of and got a roll up on. Jericho locked on a figure four until both men started slugging it out, with Danielson escaping into a label lock. Jericho fought, but Danielson wrenched right at the nose of Chris Jericho, which eventually led to Jericho tapping out. It also showed Daniel Garcia watching throughout this match, and backstage, he actually seemed a little, I don't know if the word's happy, but not upset that Jericho lost. He almost did like a, all right, kind of nod of approval thing when Danielson beat Jericho. But another great, fantastic match between Chris Jericho and Bryan Danielson. Like I said, I felt like this match was just as good as the match at the pay-per-view. No worse, but not really much better. Afterwards, Moxley would make his way out to the ring. We then get reminded, hey, Danielson just won, which means he's facing Moxley next week for the title in Arthur Ashe Stadium. And I go, man, that match is going to be amazing. And honestly, I thought they were going to go Jericho Moxley, and that's a big match, but we just saw that match like a month ago. But now that they're doing Danielson Moxley, that's the more intriguing match, Because yes, they're friends. Yes, they're partners. They're stablemates in the BCC. But also, if you think about what the BCC is, they're just guys that like to fight no matter who you're fighting or who you're fighting against. And if there's a big championship on the line, they're going to beat the crap out of each other. So this match is going to be awesome next week on Dynamite.
I'm really excited for this match.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, next week's show should be a pretty good show. It's regarded as one of their biggest shows of the year now. Probably, if I think about it, as long as this should end up being the biggest Dynamite of the year every year, just because of the building it's in, the size of the building, and how many people they can fit in there. I think they said they had, I don't know what the ticket sales are looking like right now, but I think last year they had a little over 20,000 people in the building for that show. Let me see if WrestleTix has tweeted anything. WrestleTix about the ticket sales for that show. Let's see. Arthur Ashe. Have they posted anything for Arthur Ashe? What's the date for next week? 21st. I don't see anything within the last couple of days. Yeah, they haven't posted anything recently to give an update on ticket sales. But I mean, it's a big ticket show, so I would assume they do pretty well as far as sales do go. Let's see. Yeah, they haven't posted anything in a while about updates on that show, but we'll see if they can get. I think it was the, let's see, AEW Grand Slam attendance. I think it was 20,000 last year. It was. Let's see, Grand Slam 2021. They had over 20,144 fans there with 18,300 paid. That's what it was. 18,300 paid fans, but overall there was 20,144, which makes sense because you always give tickets away for like radio stations to do giveaways and other local charity things and whatnot. So yeah, pretty good indication of it being a big show. Well, not an indication. We know it's a big show last year. But hopefully they can do as much, if not more, going into next week's show. But overall, a good show, not a great show. Really good wrestling. Like, we had quite a few good matches. We had the opening match was really good. We had the main event match really good. I thought the tag title match was really good, even though it didn't need to have the titles on the line. And I even liked Jungle Boy versus Jay Lethal. So a lot of good wrestling on a okay to, like you call it, average episode of the show. Any closing thoughts?
I mean, it was basically just one of those Dynamites where, if you missed it, you weren't really missing much. It really wasn't nothing important. And some of the build-ups were like basically just some people who just kind of like asked for title shots or just thrown in the match. I do think that AEW could do better at like building up to like title matches.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I totally agree with that one. Like, they need to do more of, oh, you want a title shot? Well, this person says they want a title shot too, so why don't you guys fight and the winner becomes number one contender? Instead of just, oh yeah, the Lucha Bros asked and they got it. Well, you're not going to see the freaking Jacksonville Jaguars asking to be in the Super Bowl and then just say, okay. No, you're going to have to earn it. But that was Dynamite. That was our thoughts on the show. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, you can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. Again, that number is 510-906-1341. But before we go to the text messages, we got to check the polls as far as the Twitch poll does go. 78% like the show, with 22% not liking the show. Nobody thought it was just all right. As far as the Twitter poll does go, 53% liked the show, 28% thought it was just all right, and 18% didn't like Dynamite. And finally, let's refresh the YouTube poll really fast. Boom, 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 boom. 61% liked the show, 26% thought it was just all right, and 13% did not like Dynamite. Some of the comments, this person says, I'll say 6 out of 10. First hour was good. Second hour didn't deliver for me. I mean, I could see where you could say most of the second hour didn't deliver, but you can't say that main event didn't. Someone comments, I'm on the West Coast. It hasn't aired here yet. And this person said, incredible. As far as the text messages do go, got a couple of them. The person says, who are the first challengers to the AEW World Trios Championships? Now, that's a good question because for a year, we've been saying, man, AEW's got a lot of trios. They've got a lot of groups. They got a lot of teams that can, benefit from the Trios Championships. And then all of a sudden, it feels like, where'd all those trios go? Like, they just all disappeared, it feels like, all of a sudden. So, I mean...
Well, one of them...
So, go for it.
No, well, I know one of those trios who were in the tournament weren't really signed with AEW. They were just there to be in the tournament.
The Trust Bus?
Oh,
yeah.
Will Ospreay and...
United Empire, correct?
Ospreay and Aussie Open.
Yep, United Empire.
And like, Malachi Black, I mean, I guess he's no longer with AEW, so you can't really do House of Black.
Nope.
Now it's like, yeah.
Which I'm shocked. Like, everyone knows Black got his release. So it's either, does Tony not have a plan for the other two? Or are we just, like, waiting for a specific moment to be like, hey, Matthews and, why am my mind blanking all of a sudden? Brody King. Like, are they going to remain a tag team? Or are they going to be singles guys? I think they should keep them as a tag team for now.
I think they would be
go for it.
I think they'd be a really good tag team, honestly. Oh, yeah. I mean, they had like a tag team match on Dark at least one or two times, and they were pretty good. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, no.
At least keep them as a tag team.
Because, I mean, I don't see Tony doing much with either of them as singles, but as a tag team, I could see them ranking up a bunch of wins and then getting a shot at the tag titles. I mean, say the Acclaimed win the tag titles. They'd be a perfect team to challenge as heels. But as far as the Trios Championships, I mean, what do? Best friends? But they were just the ones in the match that crowned the new champions, and it's like, You got the Trust Busters. No one cares about them. What were you going to say?
Dark Order, maybe? Hangman, Dark Order?
Well, no, because Hangman posted that thing on Instagram yesterday basically saying that, thank you and goodbye to the Dark Order. I'm going to move on and do my own stuff now. So, like, he doesn't want to be associated with the Dark Order, I guess. So, I don't know. I mean, you still have Dark Order. You can throw Evil Uno in there. You could throw 10 in there. They're not really hurt. As far as the next comment, this person says, how long do you think Sean Spears has on his I have no idea. I don't even know when the last time Sean Spears worked a match. So I'm going to look that up.
I don't know why Sean Spears wasn't in that MJF group. I mean, unless he's like taking time off or something.
I mean, I know his wife's pregnant, but that he wouldn't need to. Yeah, he hasn't worked a match since May.
Is that the Wardlow cage match?
Yes. That was the last match he had, was the Wardlow cage match. I don't know if maybe he got hurt. I don't know what's going on with him, but yeah. That's a very good question. Like, what the hell's going on with Sean Spears? Says, how do you see Max eventually winning the title? You mean MJF? Well, I assume they do. So I thought it would have been Moxley MJF at Full Gear. But I can honestly see Danielson also winning that belt. So maybe Danielson versus MJF at Full Gear. But, like, they should put the title on MJF. That's for sure. And if it's against Moxley, he should just beat him. But I almost don't think he should if it's Danielson. Because I think that would be too quick to have the title on and then take it off of Danielson. So I don't know if I can answer this question right now without knowing who the champion is going into whatever or whenever MJF gets that title shot. Because if it's Moxley, yeah, he just beats Moxley. But if it's Danielson, I think they need to keep that title on Danielson for more than 2 months.
I mean, I would like to see Danielson beat Mox for the title because we've already seen Mox as champion before.
Mm-hmm.
So at least put the title on Danielson, see what he can do with the belt.
Right. It's just I don't want them to take the title off of him within like 2 months just to give it to MJF.
Right.
Versus says, I thought the stomp belonged to Seth Rollins. How come Britt can use it? Well, bud, because they're in different companies. That's why. If you're in the same company, that's one thing. But if you're in different companies, each their own. Do whatever the hell you want. And finally, this person said, could the Iconics come back to WWE? Oh, yeah. Anybody could really come back to WWE now. But they're not anytime soon because Cassie Lee's pregnant. I don't know when her due date is, but I'd assume she's going to be out for quite a while. Like, I think when they made the announcement a month and a half ago, I believe she was like 2 or 3 months pregnant. Hold on. I believe she was, I'll tell you right now. May, June. I believe she was like 2 or 3 months pregnant when she announced she was pregnant. So then you take into account, 10 months for pregnancy. So that would be, maybe she's going to give birth around December, early next year, maybe February timeframe. Then she's going to need 4 or 5 months. So even if they were to want to go back to WWE, and even if WWE was interested, it probably can't be till next summer at the earliest. But, I mean, they're great. If you need a comedy act for the women's division in WWE, they'd be perfect. I mean, they were perfect. I don't know why they got rid of them in the first place. I always heard that Vince liked them, and then he just let them go. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind the Iconics back.
We just need another, female tag team.
Yeah.
To go after the tag belts. I mean, yeah, you can bring them back.
Yeah, but like I said, it ain't going to be till at least next summer. At the least, before Cassie Lee would even be ready. But that's all we got for tonight's AEW Dynamite review. Luke, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me at Twitter at Petke_21. And you can also find me at Twitch at TheLukePetke.
Awesome. With that, you can find us right here if you're watching live, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, or if you're watching or listening later, whether that's youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, or podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. I'm actually going to be live a little bit later on my personal Twitch account, twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy. I'm going to play some Food Truck Simulator. I played the demo of that a couple months ago, and I'm like, oh, I need to play this game when it comes out, so I'm going to be playing Food Truck Simulator tonight. Maybe do a little Fortnite later as well. Follow me over there. Again, twitch.tv/TimmyBuddy. We'll be back live on Friday. Well, at least I'll be back live on Friday for Friday Night SmackDown. Not sure if I'm going to be able to do a wrestling wrap-up or not, because I'm still packing all my stuff up and moving it out ever slow. I'm moving everything out slowly, but regardless, that's what's taking up a lot of my time during the day. But I will be back here 100% for sure, live after SmackDown Friday night. So with that, guys, have a great rest of your Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.